startlingly like Queen Victoria in profile. Always a cause for merriment. That's strange. I wonder if we can tell from that map down there. No. Gradually the town comes fully into view, basking in summer sunshine. Colourful buildings flank the hillside and descend towards the waterfront. Gulls serenade above the harbour, gliding across a cat's cradle of rigging. It is an evocative reminder of this town's inextricable link with all things nautical. Salcombe sits on the western shore of the King's Bridge estuary, a body of water with various creeks stretching inland. The town of King's Bridge is at the northern end, approximately 3 miles from Salcombe, as the Devon crow flies. Despite its extensive use, the term estuary is in fact a geological misnomer here, for this is a ria rather than a true estuary, a drowned valley with no major river running into it, just plentiful small streams. The technicalities, however, cannot detract from the panoramic appeal of the South Hams. As this area of Devon is known, it is often regarded as the jewel in the country's already sparkling crown. Unlike many Devon towns, Salcombe has no ancient roots or references from the time of the Domesday Book, and is relatively young. The first documentary evidence of its existence appears in 1244. It derives its name from Salcombe, meaning combe being a West Country term for findings and results of the initial survey carried out by the Southwest Maritime Archaeology Group. There are also many wrecks that are still to be found and identified. When I was a little girl, my father did a lot of work on a wreck in Cathall Cave, which is believed to be that of the dragon. This is probably what first sparked my interest in archaeology. The dragon a snack while watching life on the water. Yeah, looks lovely. Okay, so actually that was a slightly different bit to this bit that I was just reading before. So let's go back. beaches and stunning walks, but the secret weapon I have in my shop is my dog, Lulu, and the children adore her. Paul Gallagher, the Anglo-American author of The Poseidon Adventure, visited Salcombe during the late 1930s and was so taken with the town that he bought a house here. Although he continued to live in New York, he regularly returned to his Devon base where he loved the fishing. Salcombe invites exploration beyond its waterside and town centre. Fore Street becomes Cliff Road, with its memorial to those who fell in the First and Second World Wars, as well as to victims of the lifeboat disaster. The memorial stands above a terraced public garden. The town streets can be steep as they climb away from the estuary. Glorious views across the water towards the village of East Portalmouth make any climb worthwhile and are very typical of the South Hams. Watching over the town is the stone-built Holy Trinity Church, constructed in 1843. This light and airy place is Grade 2 listed and contains artifacts from much older. Churches. These include a medieval water stoop, which was removed here from the now ruined but still consecrated St Andrew's Church at South Hewish, a hamlet 4 miles west of Salcombe. Lucky visitors to Holy Trinity may be treated to an impromptu recital if the organist is practising. That's lovely, isn't it? So this says the gentle microclimate at Overbeck's provides ideal growing conditions for palms and exotic plants associated with more tropical climes. Okay, bit more coffee. Okay, I think we'll leave that article now and let's carry on. That's nice. That's an overview of greenhouses, sheds and a box hedge potter at Overbeck's working garden. That's lovely too. Right, okay, let's carry on. So we've got quite a few adverts. And this is nice. Strands of Nature. What a great shed. Surrounded by her Dorset garden, Jane Hall captures the beauty of butterflies in tiny stitches of lustrous thread. That's one of them, I think. Very nice. I'd love to have a shed like that. So nice. And there she is. Jane Hall sits at her desk, embroidering a painted silk is pretty. What does that say? A moment from the meadow is captured in Jane's decorative Psyche's cabinet. Swallowtail and gatekeeper butterflies seen in close-up on the right. There. Filt, is that a word? I mean flit, sorry. Flit above the flowers in a bucolic scene, framed in nature pattern This has been Kate at the library whispers saying I shall see